Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we'll be reviewing tips for the removal and replacement of the mass airflow sensor on this 2024 Toyota RAV4 with the 2.5 liter engine. If you find my tips to be helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. Now let's get started. The sensor is located in the center of your screen at the tip of my pointer. Some of the symptoms associated with a faulty sensor include engine misfire, rough idle, and check engine codes P0100 through P0104. So you might ask, what does this part do? Well, it is also known as an air meter. It measures the amount of air and air density that's entering the air filter and reports that data to the engine's computer. So let's move on to our supply list. Our supply list is very short. It includes a small cross-tip screwdriver and a can or some spray mass airflow sensor cleaner, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and remove the sensor. So there are two small screws that need to be removed. Okay. Now before I remove them, I like to remove the electrical connector first because sometimes it can be challenging, and this provides a kind of an immovable force that you can pull the connector away from. So making sure those screws are tight. Okay. So just press down right here and pull this connector away. See, sometimes it can be a little challenging. Okay, I didn't press down hard enough. So press down really hard, okay? We aim to provide real life scenarios here. Okay, so now I needed to deal with these two screws. I'm start here. Notice I'm using my hand to carefully hold that screw. Place that screw in a safe place right there. Same thing with the second screw. There you go. Safe location. Okay, so now I'm gonna lift this, what I call the blade, straight out. And there you have it. There is your sensor. And so one of the first things you want to look at is the electrodes. You know, are these electrodes in here? Are these electrical connectors nice and straight? So working down from the top, you're going to look at this, whether or not there's this rubber gasket is in the correct position, okay? Because if there's no gasket, or if it's in the wrong position, it's going to be allowing air to blow by it, and that could trigger a code. Next, we're going to look at the housing. And all sensors have this little exposed wire, or most of them have an exposed wire. And I want to warn you right now, you do not want to touch that wire abrasively. The only thing you could do is maybe put some spray on it, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. So looking at this, it's pretty clean. You can tell by, so there's a big arrow here, right? And so essentially what happens is that air comes in from the air cleaner, it blows into that area, and then it kind of spins up through and it measures the velocity, but at the same time, this little electrode here detects how much density is in the air. So that's basically what it does. I want to say that these sensors are bulletproof. It's highly unlikely that a sensor is going to fail on you. The only thing that normally happens is that it gets very dirty, or it's throwing a code because of something other than the sensor itself. And I'm going to quickly go over that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and set this down for now. And let's kind of dive into the filter or the intake system. So I'm going to loosen up the clamps on the air filter. There were only two. Loosening up the clamp right there. And there you have it. So I just kind of push it off and out of the way. And now I have access to the air filter. Before I replace the mass airflow sensor, you always check the condition of the air filter. This air filter is in pretty good shape. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. If the filter pleats were like that, or kind of misshapen or misformed, you'd want to throw it away, because that shows that moisture has entered the filter, and then while it dried, the dirt dried at a different rate than the filter pleat. Okay, so and air is not going to flow quickly through that area. The dirt is basically becoming solid. It's just not going to flow through there, so you want to chuck it out. Air filters should be replaced about every 12,000 miles, or at least annually. Okay, this air filter looks pretty good. So you want to check this. If you're using an air filter that is replaceable, say you could wash it off and then apply a light coat of oil, both sides, whatever the manufacturer specifications are. If you put too much oil on that filter, what will happen is, as the air is sucked past the filter, it will suck past and get embedded and cover up this housing area, okay, and this hose area here. And of course, it's going to get on the sensor. So those things could cause the error code for the sensor itself. And so if that happens, what you need to do is clean the filter and only apply a light coat of oil and then reinstall it. But before you reinstall it, you're going to have to clean out all this housing. Okay? All right, so let's just cleaning out the housing right now. I'm going to talk about another condition here. So as I was saying, the reason that the filter is located in the front of the vehicle is so that it can be easily accessed. So if you're caught in a dust storm, check engine light comes on, don't panic. Only thing that's happening is that the most likely thing that's happening is that dust has settled in and got sucked in and onto the filter. All you have to do is pull the car to the side, wait till this dust storm passes, go in here, undo the filter, open it up, and then you just want to take this filter and just drop it flat on the ground. Just boom, boom, boom. Hit it a couple times, okay? And that'll remove probably 80 to 90% of the dust that just formed on the filter, okay? Then go ahead, once you feel comfortable that you've got enough dust off of it, don't damage the filter obviously, go ahead, reinstall it. And make sure it's reinstalled properly, okay? So if you look, this filter, it looks like it's a square, but it's not. It's actually a rectangle. So I simply rotated it 90 degrees, and there you have it. And I'm going in and I'm checking all the gaskets before I put on the cover. So now I can go ahead and put on the cover. So it's kind of a tight fit, but get over that corner right there, put on the cover. Basically how these work is that there's two mounting holes, and you're going to slide the cover into those holes. There's little tips here, okay? So just slide those tips into the mounting holes. Well, let's try this. Let's go ahead, get this hose mounted first, right, in reverse order. So let's go ahead and try that. Not doing a very good job, but we'll get through it. So at this point, the hose is mounted. I'm going to check underneath to make sure that there's no gap underneath this hose in this connection, okay? Then I'm going to look down on this right side and I can see those two little prongs sticking out. And I'm going to insert those prongs into those openings that I just talked about. Okay? So right now, prongs are in those openings. I push it all the way back, pushing down on it, and then I'm going to lift up and close that clamp right there. Okay? Next, I'm going to hold down. I'm going to close that clamp right there. Okay? Now, I can deal with this clamp. And this only needs to be hand tight. This has to be snug. But what's important is that you feel all the way around. Okay? Because there's a little lip here, and there's like a little finger sticking out here and a finger sticking out there. And those two wires need to be in between those fingers, okay? If you can't move it, it's tight enough. Okay? So, now we either had a dirty filter of some sort and we've cleaned out this housing. Now that we've cleaned out the housing, we can come back in and hypothetically, we're going to clean the sensor. And so this is all you have to do. Say if this was covered with a light coat of oil, okay? Or covered with a light coat of dust. You just come in here, do that. That's all you have to do. And if you notice, this dries almost immediately. But what I prefer is that you let it either set outside for about 10 minutes or maybe even up to a half an hour if it's winter time, and make sure all the water is out of it, okay? What you don't want to do is go in here with the toothbrush and start scraping and rubbing on things. Do not do that because you're just going to damage it, okay? Do not do that. Okay, now that you've cleaned that, you've cleaned your little electrode, what's next? You're ready to reinstall. Okay? Now it only goes on one way, and we're just going to press it in place. I like to have the screws in place when I'm messing around with the electrical connector. To me, it's just less work. So using two hands, get that first screw in about 80%. Don't drop it. And I'm going to get the second screw in. Now that's about 80%. Then I'm going to shake it a little bit. What am I doing? I'm shaking it because I need that gasket, that O-ring to sit evenly. Okay? I'm going to press it in place. Now I'm going to go in for the permanent installation. Okay? Just tight, just snug. That's all it has to be. There you go. All right, what's next? Finally, we have our electrical connector. So, as always, I'm going to look at the electrical connectors here to make sure they're not bent, make sure they're not corroded, make sure the wires are not frayed or anything back here. This is next to the battery, so it could be that the wires could be frayed by, either the battery kind of coming out of the mount, or maybe there's a wrong size battery. There's a number of things that could have happened that would cause this wire here to be frayed. Okay, so that's something you want to watch out for too before you replace the sensor. Are these wires frayed? Okay, but these wires are in great shape. And last, I'm going to look at the gasket and make sure that it's not deformed. And I can see down in there that it's not deformed. And I'm just going to go ahead and connect it and listen for the click. There you go. Wasn't that loud? All right. Well, folks, that wraps up this video on the mass airflow sensor for this 2024 Toyota RAV4 with the 2.5 liter engine. I hope you found my tips to be helpful. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, drive defensively.